And Craig.
Now recording.
Welcome to the Yanggang Roundtable. It is 4:11 p.m. Sunday, September 6, 2020. We are a basic income advocacy podcast, and we are fortunate enough to have Heidi Briones here. Heidi, how you doing?
Hey guys, yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
I remember how to say your last name?
Yeah, Briones,
yes,
you got
okay,
it. Yeah.
This time I did it. Thank you. Well, yeah, welcome back to the show. It's been a long time. I know you've been working with Hill of Roses, which is awesome. I've been watching you here and there when I can on that, so that's cool. Congratulations. What else have you been up to? Can you catch us up?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, the last time we were chatting, I believe I was running my congressional campaign, and obviously that ended in the middle of May. And then I did do a show on Hill of Roses with John Munitz, and we did the Full Bloom, and we did some fun interviews with Andrew Yang, obviously, and Marianne Williamson, Vermin Supreme, which was actually really fun.
Oh, man.
And some other congressional candidates. Yeah, Vermin Supreme was great. He was, I'm pretty sure he was naked during the interview, so that was fun.
He's like a man after my own heart.
Or at least scantily clothed, maybe. But
it's like nobody knows
it was fun, and
I'm wearing pants.
I mean, am I wearing pants? You never know.
Joke,
who knows?
Right? I mean,
that's why I'm not showing my face.
Oh, there you go.
You don't have to wear pants anymore these days to be a fully productive human. You know, it's totally fine.
Revealed as fake all the way down.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, I don't.
So I was working on that, and also helped a new grassroots organization, Math Movement, kind of get up and running, and launch something cool that they're doing called Math Class, which will come out after the election. Just organizing curriculum and some other fun stuff to keep us going and make sure that we're pushing forward for UBI and other aligned policies. So that's fun. But yeah, mainly I've just been, focusing on trying to figure out how to be the most effective, how to be authentic and myself in the same right. And kind of adjusting to being much more of a public type of figure than I've ever been, which is not the most natural for me since I'm just not a politician and never really intended to be.
That's
but
why I love
just
you
want to help
as a politician. You're like exactly what the politician is supposed to be, and it never is, because the incentive structure isn't there for like a career politician to do good.
I mean, did you hear about Did you hear about that one Minnesota mayor of some sort? I mean, I'm over in Chicago, and I'm still waiting for my mayor over here, like Lori Lightfoot or whatever, to come to her senses and pass this UBI. But unfortunately, she's as corrupt as Pelosi and Mitch or whatever, and all she did was let the city burn, and we had city unrest and all this other crazy stuff, and looting and rioting and then some. Then we're also in the middle of a pandemic, and she's saying stuff like, "Oh, I want to teach a guy how to fish," but she's not going to give
like
us
I said, it's like, what
the
a
proper.
lightweight.
So it's like she's just been. The only reason why she even got in there in the first place was because of identity politics, and once she was in, all she cared about was herself, and sticking to like the trends or whatever, and telling people what they want to hear. She's
hard. Yeah.
I mean, sure, you hear this over in Canada with Justin Trudeau and everywhere else, and I'm like, I'm sick of it. It's like, hey,
it's hard. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it's really difficult because you're balancing so many different things. Yeah, I just think that that's why so many politicians become, so-called sellouts, or people are like, oh, they joined the establishment, because it's such a difficult thing. Like, how do you actually maintain all your authenticity, who you are as a person, and actually have enough people like you and support you and donate money to you for you to actually win something? So you, in one sense, have to play the game and also stay authentic to yourself. That is not an easy balance to do. Plus, being a human being like at the same time. So I believe that that's honestly why a lot of politicians, it's so much easier to fall in line to do and how to act, and you just do what everyone else is doing, and you can just follow the set things that everybody else is saying and doing, and retweet that and say the same things in line. That's just easier. I mean, like that makes your job a million times easier.
It's like a wind up toy. It's, you know, you just wind it up and then it just goes through those processes, and then when it stops, you just wind it up again. And then it just does that stuff. You know, in the old days, they would like wind up those toys.
Well, it's like also when I believe what me and Ariel were been talking about, and that is like what you're seeing in these politicians and you know what you mean like so-called sellouts and stuff. You're actually seeing that reverberating throughout our society. You see it in our state agencies, in our communities, organizations, and you know, even within our families, the people have the same sort of negligence and narcissism, and just having like their own agenda and not really thinking they're better than everyone and not really helping or anything. And it's just they're just passing that. Go ahead.
This is kind of why it's so important that we focus so hard on people who are trying to make a change and empowering them. Making sure to get those donations to them. People like Heidi. Goldstein didn't make it, I don't think, but
David Kim.
David Kim's still in, and I think Donna Imam and
Donna Imam,
yeah.
And now here's the thing that boggles my mind. So many people are complaining about politics, yet the same exact people keep voting in incumbents. And it doesn't even have to do, because like Ed Markey was a good incumbent, but an incumbent nonetheless, and he got reelected. But it's like, what is up with constantly reelecting the same exact people to the same exact places? I don't understand. It makes no sense to me.
It's almost like
a lot of it is like fear-based. I mean, if you want to talk about the establishment, I had a conversation with somebody where I kept talking about the establishment, and they asked me, what do you think the establishment is? And I didn't have an answer right there, because you just kind of have a feeling of what it is. And later I followed up saying, I think the establishment is when it's more concerned with upholding itself and its own power than actually being accountable to constituents. So it seems like once people are in there,
or serving
in power, so once people are in power, then they have an incentive to just stay in power. So talking about incumbents, people keep voting in incumbents because you have the power and you don't want to concede it to something else that you might not know where it goes.
But I'm saying the people who keep saying things suck and then keep voting for the same people that make the things suck. I mean, why would you do that? It's like so much cognitive dissonance. It's like, oh, you know, it's so hot. Let me turn on my heater.
You know,
like, cool myself.
The media plays a part in all of it.
Suck. I want to make a quick point. A lot of those people who are saying things suck aren't actually voting. So the people who are coming back to vote are the people who like things the way they are or really dislike things the way they are, not the people who are just happy to say this sucks and be done with it. You only have passionate people coming out to vote. So the only people coming out are going to be the people polarized on either side. And part of that has to do with how, how divided we are actually in this moment and at this moment. And anybody who's in the middle is disincentivized to show up elections when they're not being represented.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely part of it. There's certainly like the devil, just quality, it's just, if things are generally not like horrible, like if you can't point to something in that incumbent that is so terrible that you can't live with it anymore, then it's safer. It's safer, like in a human mind, to stay the same. And that is why, for example, like progressive movements and change is so difficult in society in general. In general, humans don't like change. We just don't. It's just stay the same. And we want change when it's necessary, when it's like reactive, when it gets that bad.
Like the
but
pandemic.
For them to be proactive, for a human to be like so proactive to think, oh yes, this person's fine, but this person will be better. And I'm going to make a proactive decision, even though the house isn't burning down, to just start hosing it off. Because I think a fire's coming, but there's no evidence of it really. But there could be, and this person says that they can help. So that's such a huge leap for a lot of people, I think.
I admire that when Yang dropped out, he didn't just disappear. So many of those candidates. So that's why it's like you got to create a backdoor. You got to create a window. You got to create ways, kind of like around the system to do these things, and that's what I like. So
he did what he would say he was going to do. You know,
right.
Get money into the people's hands. It's like one way or another. If he just said all that and just disappeared, he'd be no different than the incumbents and all those career politicians and the those corrupt Congress or whatever, who still haven't come to an agreement on the second stem check or anything else. But I digress. Continue.
Hey, right, and that's the beauty of creativity and having some imagination, is that if what's there sucks, you build something better, and that's what I like about this. It wasn't like when Kamala or Cory Booker or all those other people dropped out, and it was just like radio silence. It was like, okay, let's crack door, let's think of something imaginative and creative, and we're gonna do this, and here we are.
Seems
like Andrew Yang was doing all the work rather than
I know that it's not I know that it's not like the same, but it would be kind of unfair to say that Kamala's been like quiet. I just want to say that, like, you may not like her, but she has kind of spoken her mind on a lot of things. She signed up as one of the people supporting the $2,000 a month. So, like, let's be fair to people who are people we disagree with too.
Well, she hasn't really reinforced it in that little speech of hers doing the DNC or anywhere else. She just was, kept on the back burner. That's what you should like really let the American people know about that. So they won't be, always choosing the less two evils or going with, well, this person's better, or, playing it safe, or listen to what the media says and stuff. It's like, those people in charge, they say they're going to help the people, whatever, then prove it. Say like, okay, let's I signed this $2,000 a month UBI thing, or like I have, we got to talk about Andrew Yang mentioned that Joe Biden told him about the fourth industrial revolution and stuff, and I have not once heard Joe Biden mention things like automation and lost of jobs and especially like UBI, and those are very crucial if you want to solve these issues, along with democracy dollars and Medicare for all, value-added tax, and all these very
yes. Credit where credit is due, because just because it's not the issues we want highlighted doesn't mean they're being silent either. We got to be fair to people and what they're doing and where they're coming from.
Well, I want results. I don't want like what's the best time to say whatever. Like nothing has gotten better in my life right now, and I'm trying to find a way to get out, and the only thing I could think of is UBI that could really help me. And I can't just wait until like next year or whatever. Like something has to happen now.
We can't be hyperbolic about things. We have to keep things in line with how they are actually happening, so that we have a realistic view of what's going on the ground.
Well, the house is burning and it's about to crumble. We gotta do something. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Not disagreeing with you in any sense about that. Just saying credit where credit is due for people who are saying things that are needing to be said.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, Kamala has been supportive of the $2,000 a month, and that's awesome. It's a little weird that Biden isn't, though. It doesn't seem to like, aren't you guys running together? That would be like pretty simple to just like, So it's pretty interesting. But obviously, I mean, I truly believe Biden is very calculated and has other people obviously telling him what to say. I mean, it's not like he's going out there and spitballing. It seems like Andrew could, or like other politicians. Yeah, no, he's definitely more scripted. He was actually reading the teleprompter in that video that was out recently. It was pretty funny. He like read the part you're not supposed to read. which was pretty funny. Forget what it was exactly, but it was just funny. So yeah, I mean, obviously, their goal is to win. I mean, that's the Democratic Party. They want to win no matter what, and they want to win the way they want to win. So they have to have it very controlled, and unfortunately, that's playing politics. That's something that's part of the game that people that actually are problem solvers, they get very frustrated with, because we're like, problem, solution, fix the problem. But that doesn't really keep their careers going as much as, towing the line and going along with what the party wants them to do. That's what's going to get their career going. So we're dealing with different mindsets than what we would want.
Heidi, you just reminded me. Actually, this is what I wanted to say. It's like, if you guys ever watched like The Simpsons, and Marge gives Lisa, the daughter, like that steering wheel, but it's not really like driving the car. And I believe like that's what they do when they tell us to become politically active. It's like you're playing a video game and your friend wants to play, but then you give him a controller that's not even plugged into the game, and like the AI is there like playing the game with him, and he's like, look, you're winning, when your controller's not even plugged and that player 2 is an AI. It's
I literally used to do that with my 14-year-old when he was a kid, by the way. My husband used to be playing Halo, and we would plug a fake controller into the bed, like between the mattress, so that it would look like it was plugged into something, and he would think that he was playing the game with Dad. So that's an analogy I could relate to.
Yeah, when I was like 3 years old, my father would hold me up to a Pac-Man machine. I had no idea it was on attract mode. I was quite sure that I was controlling Pac-Man. You don't know when you're 3. It's like we're all 3. And they all treat us like we're 3. And I mean, some of us know, and some of us are fooled.
Right.
And so far, they can fool enough of the people enough of the time.
Well, that's what the left and the right is. It's like, this is what these culture war issues are. It's like, look, like you're making a difference by things just staying the same and never changing, because you feel all this outrage and you feel so like emotional at all these speeches, when it's really not doing anything. You go to a rally, you go to a speech, you get all like, yeah, and then it all ends, and then it's like everything stays the same.
The hard work isn't the rallies. The hard work isn't the energy. It's not where the people are cheering and everybody's having fun. It's in sitting down and doing calls for candidates. It's in running for local elections. Everybody wants it to be like a party is going to change the world, but that's like neither the Democrats nor the Republicans nor a literal party where everybody's drinking booze together and talking politics are going to change the world. You have to make actual physical actions towards the world you want.
Right. It's right. Like
or a little bit of both.
Isn't going to help. It's like when you watch your favorite sports team on television, and then when they win, you're like, "Yay, I won." You didn't do anything. You just turned on the TV and you screamed at it. That's not contributing to anything. That's not creating.
At the same time, people did give money towards it. So, I mean, that is one, I guess, benefit of getting all these side people like on board. So, they could contribute monetarily. They can contribute to the excitement and attention of it. Absolutely. But yeah, like there is like some on the ground daily hard work that needs to be done. And yeah, people who just show up to rallies to have fun are not necessarily contributing to it. But at the very least, they are providing something.
But not even hard work. It's just
I was a little hard there.
It's not falling for the hype and actually holding the person that you actually like and you actually wanted them to win. It's like holding their feet to the fire and saying like, hey, like, no, I'm not going to get riled up at your opponent. I'm going to say like, why haven't you done that? I mean, if Andrew Yang did become president and it was like 2 years into his presidency and we didn't have a freedom dividend, we didn't have UBI, you're goddamn right. I wouldn't be happy. I would be like, what the hell is this? Where's the actual policy in action? Let's say like Yang became president and he couldn't institute UBI for those 4 years because Congress wouldn't let it through. I mean, then what's up?
And here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. Not everyone has the ability or the energy to make phone calls and canvas, knock on doors and stuff like that because they're in toxic, abusive relationships or environments and stuff, and no one's really realizing that. Here's the other thing: Andrew Yang has been actively giving money, and his organization Humanity Forward has been actively giving money to families and individuals throughout the nation. What have these other politicians done? Because I haven't seen any improvements.
Well,
I got that some of that financial relief from Humanity Forward and Andrew Yang. I still haven't gotten whatever those other people were proposing yet.
I'm going to say I think my statement was a bit harsh or came off harsher than I meant it to. I'm just saying that if you have all that energy and stuff, it's absolutely squandered if we don't have enough people out there doing the work, going to doors, knocking, making phone calls. That energy has to be manifested into something further down the line, a larger, more intricate process than is seen on the outside.
Well, if you want more people to like get active or whatever and do those things, I mean, what you could do is like if they reach out for assistance or whatever, like if they're trying to like get out of that toxic environment, you can find a way to get them out so they can like join the movement and phone bank, really put all their energy investment into it, and not like have to just like be so stuck.
That's hard to just give somebody without a UBI active, though. That's why we need the UBI in the first place.
Yeah, it's the chicken and the egg, right? That your politicians want you to donate to them, but you don't even have enough money to pay for your like freaking electric bill. So like what you gonna do? It's ridiculous. It's so it's like we need to actively get people off the hamster wheel and get people in a state of mind where they can think about free time, or we're just gonna be in this perpetual cycle like ad infinitum.
As the man says, we just need to get people money.
Well, here's the other thing. The French, they managed to get my friend out of the French over in Canada. They managed to get my friend out of a environment that was going to kill her. She was like in her mid-20s, and if she didn't get out, she would die. She was with abusive parents, and the French got her out quick. This is before the pandemic, and them. Oh, mind you, they're also giving their people currently $1,000 or $1,500 a month. All French. It's pretty much the same proposal for Andrew Yang, but it's for the French community. But before that, they managed to get my friend out in less than a month at most. And like every week they followed up with her and stuff. And if something came up, they found some sort of alternative. They didn't let her just like, they didn't make excuse for her. They didn't just let her rot away or whatever. Like they did everything they can to make sure she could live another day like 30 or 40 and not like feel so trapped. But whatever, they mind you, they're like 50 years behind us. The latest technology they have as far as like computers and software is like Windows 95. I mean, they have smartphones and stuff, but they're completely delayed, and a lot of their punishment or whatever are like medieval and pretty like old school and stuff, and even like things like autism and the LGBTQ community. They didn't have any knowledge about that. The English did, but they didn't, and they tried to get some of those resources. But the English, what they did was they just said, oh, you're going through my stuff, you're invading my privacy, when they're actually trying to get with the program and trying to like, so they can help their own and stuff. Because like my friend definitely needs that, and it only took her to like leak out that information just for them to make any sort of progress. But before then, it was like fighting tooth and nail with these people. And it's like there was, but they managed to do so much with little resources.
You're really hitting on something powerful here, Izzy. It really doesn't take that much effort and energy sometimes.
No, it doesn't.
To help a person just to get up on their feet and just to help themselves. We're not saying that make people dependent on you and do everything for them. We're just saying give people the kind of help and the starting momentum that they need to just get on their feet. And that's good. You got them on their feet, and then when they're on their feet, they can be more autonomous. But then it's like no, we can't even do that. No, yes you can. Fuck you. Sorry, I did have to say it. It's like,
yes you can. Fuck you. That's a good that's a good rally cry.
But no, really, campaign slogan next time.
Yes,
like
you can.
if you could give if you could give billions of dollars to like big corporations and all the people who crashed our economy and to Wall Streets, and you can just print it out to the printer, you got to have your head up your ass if you think that I don't know about that and I can't see that. I can't see that you're lying.
Yeah, well, the French and us obviously have massive cultural and historical differences. I mean, for one, they had a revolution in France, so the French government is actually scared of the French people. So, I mean, they actually got a lot of social services and different things. And, you know, once that happens,
strike will happen here.
What we should be doing, we should be learning from them. We should be learning from these cultures to understand, like, you know, what they're doing right, you know, rather than like, like I think one member was like, okay, like they were pretty salty about, you know, they were trying to like go over to Quebec and get like that UBI or whatever, but because they're not French and they won't get it, like, and they're like, oh, you saying because I'm English I won't be able to get it? I'm like, no, what you should be doing is like giving some of your resources so they can advance and you can like use some of theirs, whatever. It's tit for tat. It's not one-sided and don't act like everything's hand to you. And here's the other thing I want to mention. Okay, there was a support group on Facebook that up and removed me because and they mentioned that, oh, I made some rude comments and they've been monitoring me all this time. And I'm sitting here going, so you've been you spend all that energy monitoring all my posts and everything I say, but you don't have, but when it comes to like actually helping me get out or whatever, you're full of excuses, or you're saying, oh honey, I understand what you're going through, but it's against standard policy. You know, it's like, I wish we could do more. I mean, see, if you have enough energy to like, scrutinize someone because it, like they made some and cancel them on Twitter or whatever, and also like write up a probation letter, in less than a week, and like call the police on them, whatever. You damn sure have energy to actually help them.
Yeah.
Do something
If you
have
first, right? Like, I think this is what you're hitting the nail on the head. If you have enough energy to punish me, you have enough energy. There you go. But when it comes to punishment, our stupid government is very efficient at using resources and doing really hard work to like hurt us and punish us and make sure we don't get something. They're really good and efficient at being punitive, but they suck balls when it comes to actually helping and doing something good.
And we're supposed to be the greatest.
Punishing is easy because you don't have to care. So there's like a big, I mean, yeah, in terms of energy and like doing something, punishing is way easier because you could just do it and not care what happens after. So but in terms of like empathy is so absolutely
it's not obligated.
You're right.
They're not getting paid for it. That's why they're not getting paid.
Well, yeah, it's also profit motive. Punishment is you can make money off punishing people. I mean, like you can find ways to make. Yeah, you can't make very much money helping people. It's like pretty hard. Like Andrew's like made a joke about that. Like he's like, yeah, I guess a good business model is just giving away money.
Well,
it's
much easier.
It's not a good business model, but it is a good model for an economy. So, like, if we stop looking at the economy,
it's a great idea, but it's really hard to maintain it. That's why people don't do it, because there's no like incentive for their profit, their own. I mean, where's the profit incentive? And in our society, it's like, what makes profit? Everybody's incentivized by that. We'll just focus on that. And then the human elements go out the window because it's amoral. It's just there's no morality.
That's why it's much easier to destroy than to build. I mean, destroying, you just mindlessly bring in a wrecking ball and you just like go at it and you hit it. But like building takes, models, it takes blueprints, it takes, collaboration. It's a lot of intellectual labor that goes into building something and making it and creating, but destroying is just like mindless. Just building
is best done by people who are emotional labor. So when you are building something and you don't care about what you're building, you're going to end up with something shitty anyways from the get-go. So we need people who actually care about the policies, creating the policies, or we're going to end up with shit policies anyways.
Right, and I'm going to bring in like a little bit of intersectionality here. So when we talk about caring for people and having empathy, that is devalued in our society because, hey, patriarchy. So like all the caretaker roles, all the service roles, they are highly underpaid because there's this notion that certain people are naturally good at caring about others and therefore they should be compensated less for it. And also that's like a woman's job to care about people, and they like doing it, they're good at it, so just let them do that. So I mean, it's just a way that society is structured right now. So to say that, oh, it's easy to do it, it's not. It's a lot of emotional labor. So just because you can put a lot of energy into one thing, it's not a direct translation into a different type of work.
Well, the problem
so
is
it's
that
not so much like redirecting the energy, it's valuing the work that's going on right now that hasn't been valued before.
the problem is that as far as like Karen is concerned, it's actually in our society, Karen is like superficial or so, or conditional, whatever. Like for instance, with that story about Chadwick Boseman dying of colon cancer and stuff, and all those people supported him, and also like when I believe one of my friends mentioned that Selena Gomez, she had like she was diagnosed with like lupus or something, and she talked with, but she had these fans or whatever that she told about, and they set up a GoFundMe and like gave her all this assistance and stuff and love and support, all because she was a celebrity. She had all these followers and stuff, and then and it's like, but if they were like regular people like us, they're like regular average Joe or Jane or whatever, it's like people would just walk right past them like they did with Arthur and the Joker. They just and like it's like, and this is ongoing, and I'm sitting here, and the same people who say they can't help us, they don't have the funds, they're broke or whatever, I see them donating to these GoFundMe's and to these people saying, asking them for a cash up or whatever. This, like the same people who say they don't have the resource, they're doing it for,
I mean, but that's just personal boundaries, though. Like people are going to care more about people who they feel close to, right? So even though they
to a celebrity,
yeah, I mean, no, absolutely, absolutely, because they feel
someone on Instagram and Twitter, they're like have all these,
right.
Like, come on now.
No, but seriously, you can't judge people for that because I mean they care about something. I mean, if you go around life caring about every single person you pass by, you're gonna burn out. You're gonna deplete yourself.
The French care about the French care about every single one of their people, and they have yet to burn out. And I mean, again, they're 50 years behind.
Yeah, but you're talking about the French as a society, and you're trying to compare that to each individual. So each individual cannot care about.
It's hard for individuals.
Yeah, we have to think about systemically. It's like, yes, every single person has a duty to gauge whether they can help a particular person or not, but trying to like compare an individual's choices versus a society's choices is not a fair comparison.
That's the problem with charity in general. That's why charity can't possibly solve all of our problems. That's why no matter how, I run out of food pretty much every month before the food card comes back in for my SNAP benefits. And it has only been because of the Yang Gang that we've been able to stay with enough food that like my kids aren't freaking out and all that from month to month. That's not sustainable though. If 1 month Yang Gang can't help me get a little extra money for food, my kids shouldn't have to starve. That's why UBI is so important and so powerful.
Yeah.
You can't empower each person to empower everybody else individually. It's an impossible goal, and it has to start at the societal level. It has to start at where you're governing. It has to start at where your people's hearts are, so that we set aside what is needed from the very get-go to make sure that everybody's taken care of.
And you know what's also an interesting concept? Like, I don't know if you guys all watched SpongeBob SquarePants, but then like Plankton said like you can't be nice because you let everybody like step all over you and take advantage of you and lie to you and all that stuff. And then he was using SpongeBob to get rid of all the people on the beach to create for land development.
Yeah, I saw that episode.
Yeah. And then SpongeBob said, "Well, what about this? What about being assertively nice?" It's like that. And it was really funny. And then he would go out of his way. He'd do the nice things, but I think being assertively nice, how can I put this? It's being nice enough to like stand up to bullies and hypocrites and liars and narcissists and all that stuff, because you can't be kind to cruelty. Because when you're kind to cruelty, that's having cruelty for everybody.
That's enabling.
Yeah, that's enabling. Kindness to cruelty is cruelty for all mankind. That was like in our Torah. So it's like let's know when to be kind, but not be kind to like cruel people and their motivations and their sub stories and all of that stuff, because that's just like empowering them, and be nice in a way that it, like, I don't know, like really uplifts people and empowers them and stuff like that.
How about how about also be nice to those, who don't, smile often, or quote unquote be positive a lot or whatever, because they need the support as well. It's like they too want to, get the chance to
like your kindness shouldn't dictate that other person like becomes your slave, or you can like mold them into any kind of shape that you want. And I think that's what these means tested programs are all about. We're going to be kind to you, but we want to mold you into what we want your life to be. And like, hey, like then it's like, then we won't give it to you if we can't mold you, and if we can't like, like control you like a marionette.
That's
well,
we got to make it conditional
worldview. That's right. It's conditional and transactional. They expect something back from you because they expect something from you, some value they extract for this welfare, which is not right. I wanted to touch on something before you get too far away from it. We mentioned the disparity between Kamala Harris's messaging and Joe Biden's messaging, and I kind of have a theory there, right? Kamala Harris is saying he's floating this $2,000 a month thing, but she's in the inferior office, so it's not going to happen. What she's doing is harvesting the votes of people who want that, while Joe Biden tells his voters, oh, no, don't worry, we're not going to get that crazy UBI. I know that's a bridge too far. So he's trying to have it both ways. That's the way I see it. What do you guys think about that?
It's very possible, but I'd rather have somebody saying it have that position than somebody who's not saying it have that position.
I mean, I pretty much said this last episode, but I feel like they're just trying to grab those moderate Republicans who are sick of Donald Trump, but at the same time don't want to offer something that's radical, or too much change, or something that they could not get on board with because it's too far left. So, I mean, that's all he's doing. He's just hedging his bets. It's all it is.
Hi, Moto. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, hey, I'm mostly just lurking to kind of keep an eye on the bot. I think it has a bug in it. But
what's your motto?
I am also here. If
yeah, I mean, if you know a little bit about Kamala, she tends to go with what's cool at the moment. That's kind of how she's been as a politician for quite some time. And the $2,000 a month had a lot of, publicity around it, and like it was very popular. And so I think she jumped on it, which is great. I'm glad she did. I mean, that's what we want. We want to positively pressure people on good policy. So it's great that she did. It worked. We pushed her on that, and then she got the nomination after that. I mean, she was for the 2000, and then she got the nomination. And Joe Biden's just a completely different like entity. I mean, he added her to the ticket for, obvious reasons, to have a balance, to bring in other voters, to have that different energy, whatever, some identity politics, if you want to look at it from that lens. But they're just different. I don't think there's necessarily anything nefarious there. I just think that her as a politician, Kamala as a politician, is one that goes with the trends, kind of goes with what's popular at the time, wants to kind of ride the wave. She's a sort of like, let's ride this popular wave politician. And Joe Biden's more, I just kind of even keeled. But I do feel like his campaign this time is very controlled and is very, laid honestly,
out. Do you think it's just lip service from Kamala or not? Just to get a clear,
I think so.
Your position. I mean, I want to hear what Heidi thinks about.
I mean, I do kind of think it's a bit of lip service. I mean, I don't think of her as a genuine politician.
Me, you, and Izzy.
I mean, there's a difference to me between Rashida Tlaib, who had this excellent plan and came out with it and had it all out and like mint the fucking coin. Like, that's dope. There's a difference
right?
That.
Like she could have drawn me back to the fold if they'd gotten her instead of Kamala Harris. That's like, oh, real progressive. If you're vice president, that shows you mean business. This is an obvious play in my mind.
Yeah, so I think it's a bit of her just.
I'm not like a Kamala fan or anything. I was just like pointing out that she has spoken on this issue. Like, no
one said you were a fan.
I'm still voting for it, but I'm not a fan of it by any stretch.
Oh, I know. I'm not trying to take you to task at all or anything like that. I completely understand your position. I think. Thank you.
But I do want to say I'm a guy about like action and results. So it's like until I see, those like that 1,000 or 1,200 or 2K a month, in the mail or like in my bank account, I won't believe until I see it. And I feel like a lot of Americans believe that way. Well, at least the ones who've reached that stage of enlightenment, and aren't like sheep or whatever. So
and I think like because like the establishment does such a great job at like making the transactional into the emotional, and we just have to not fall for it anymore. We have to say like no, we're not going to get all excited and happy and all that stuff until we see a result. That's the kind of deal we have to make. But you got a lot of people that just get taken in by the words instead of the actual facts on the ground. And that's what they count on. That's just it.
I had interrupted you a little bit earlier, Heidi, and I didn't realize it because I was lagging up a bit. Could you return to the point?
Yeah, I would love to hear from you some more, Heidi, while we have you, please.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, I think I pretty much said how I feel about it, but yeah, I feel like Kamala's. I mean, she has been. I mean, I just look at people's records. If they're a politician that has a record, they're probably going to stay doing what they've done with their record. That's normally what happens. So she does have a record of kind of riding the wave of certain topics that are coming up, but then doing something different with her actual policy. So her actual actions don't always match her words, just looking at her actual record.
Here's an action she could do.
Suspect.
Here's an action she could do. She could like all those people in the past that she's put behind bars or whatever. She could like give them like a UBI or like something similar. I mean that can definitely be a time redemption or whatever, and like people then actually believe that she means what she says or whatever. So like,
yeah, they got to win first though, and they're only focused on winning right now. I mean, that's like the main focus. So they're going to do whatever it takes to possibly win. So the focus, unfortunately, isn't on actionable policies right now. In September, like when we have
it's funny, Heidi,
so they're just focused on the election.
You talk about like problem solving, and they said that there is a problem solvers caucus part of Congress, and I'm just wondering if like these are the people that we can pressure to like do the monthly payments, because I mean
who is in that? Do we know
my representative Karen Back, I think, is in the problem solvers caucus. They're a bipartisan caucus of like Congress people. You can look them up, that just say like, oh, we're not for the rhetoric and all that stuff. We just want to like get the job done. But I don't know.
Sounds like rhetoric in itself, though, right?
No, it's like you guys ever heard of a strange loop?
It's like I'm not about rhetoric, but here's my rhetoric. It's that I'm not about rhetoric. Yeah,
right.
Washington's home of the circumlocutive straight talker.
I guess we can just take them to task if we reach out to them and see if they actually, if they walk the walk instead of just talking the talk. That's all.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what problems they've solved. I mean, I mean, I'd be interested to see what problems they've solved. I mean, it's just I myself love that. I mean, I would love politicians that actually have a plan, and that they actually have a problem that they want to focus on, and they have a result. I feel like, unfortunately, there's a lot of, just celebrity politician type things, theatrics. There's all of that going on, and then there's this like blind loyalty to, the incumbents, and even if they're,
that was part of the reason when Trump was running as the quote unquote outsider. I liked him because like when like Hillary went to Philadelphia and they like invite all these like celebrities that are like actors and musicians and all this stuff to just like get people all hyped, and I get so pissed off because I see right through that. And I'm like, get out of here. Like thing that and that kind of like pushed me a little towards Trump, that they were doing that because like I honestly thought of Barack Obama as like just like the celebrity president that could just give good speeches. I mean, not to offend anybody. I mean, like in hindsight, I mean he was more. I think he was a lot more rational and a lot more level-headed than Trump was. But I mean, he was still kind of like the celebrity president that knew how to like get people all emotional, but at the end of the day,
he was a great cheerleader for neoliberalism. He was like the big.
Well, that's the Democrats' job, right? The Democrats' job is to calm everybody down, make you feel warm and fuzzy, like while they kind of do the same thing in the back, and then conservatives come in and they're like, "Oh no, we're not doing any of that crazy stuff. Like we're keeping things the way they are," and that motivates, the other half of the voting base. But in reality, most of the time they're doing almost the exact same things in the background. Very little difference.
It's like what's his Izzy, like what you said, like your house can be like the most violent place, and like your parents can like scream at each other, and like there could be like all sorts of chaos going on, but then all of a sudden when guests are invited, everyone's nice. Everyone's calm, everyone's friendly, everybody loves each other, and then when the guests leave, it's back to the screaming and the shouting and the yelling and the hate. It's
I grew up with two alcoholics, so this is almost like it like makes me flash back to some of those moments, and it was not a lot of fun. And it's strange how divorced people will break up with people just to find people just like the people they divorced. So you ended up with two separate families of alcoholic pairs. That's a lot of yelling and screaming and then pretending everything's okay.
Right. Well, because nobody wants to fix the problem at the root. Everybody just looks at the problem like at the surface. So it's like,
just about to say that, right?
It's like if a person kind of like, you need the root canal at this point for our country. I mean, you need to like take out all the decaying, filth, or we're just about to lose like the entire mouth. If we don't fix it, it's like our country has not been brushing its teeth.
Right.
We have not been like,
you're saying that, and I'm actually kind of interested as to why that would bring you to Trump, because you're talking about how liberals make everyone emotional. But I should also remind you that anger is also an emotion, and that's what Trump was running on, and he still is.
I didn't say that. I said at the time, because I didn't know.
But wasn't he offering any solutions at the time he was running either? I mean, he was pretty much running on like outrage and anger himself.
The thing that he said was that like, I'll make us more prosperous because I know how to bring in good quality jobs. And I mean, for me, like after I graduated and after I, went through my education, the quality of jobs were like really shitty and really bad, and I didn't like it, and getting hired was really tough. So I thought like
pretty attracted to his position on the TPP too, then.
Something like that. Yeah, like that. But then he got in, and then he's like, and then nothing really changed. So then
he was no different than the other ones. It's like he was like, I feel like he was also part of the establishment. He just pretended to be an outsider.
It's kind of like exactly. It's like those game shows where they're like, you can either take, I don't know, like a pile of junk and put it together, or you can take the mystery behind door number 2. So it's like,
you were just looking for a chaos agent. You didn't want change. You just wanted chaos.
And at the same time, like I wanted the Democrats to say like they really haven't been doing. They were like all talk, no action, and like they thought they were like on the top of the world and they were invincible and they were the best. And then I was like, well, okay, like screw you, like no, you're not. Like, yeah,
I think that points to like how people vote a lot right now. What you were just saying is that, you know, mostly people vote, it's negative voting. You know, you're voting against something, you're not voting for something anymore. So that's what it kind of came down to, I believe, in 2016. It was all about negative voting. Like, what did you hate more? Like, did you hate Trump more? Or do you hate like the Democratic establishment, drain the swamp, like get like just chaos type of theory? Like, do you just want to just mix things up? And you know, a lot of people decided that, you know, in the right states, at least, I mean, obviously popular vote, we know how that went, but in the right states, in certain areas, a lot of people decided that they would rather just take a chance and say no.
The way our voting system works, the incentive structure does not work if we vote out of fear. We simply just inevitably get this decline that we've been experiencing for decades into corruption and despair. And ossification,
and actual progressives were not too happy with Obama either. So, if you talk to actual progressives, they were not happy.
No, we were very disappointed, and that's
at the time I was very happy, but I was ignorant. I thought he was very progressive, and I really had no idea. And I think so many people are still ignorant of these things.
I mean, Shell, you and I as well as Ariel, we have like the same perspective, but but for me, like when I vote, I vote by actions as well as like you know legitimacy, morals, and stuff like that. And I mean, I voted for Obama because he was like the he was like the lesser two evils. But I mean, if by her like Ron Paul was running in 2012 and had Ron Paul faced Obama, I would have voted for Ron Paul. Same with like in 2016, if Zoltan Ishvan was in there because he also supported UBI, I would have voted for him if he was the choice. So I mean, I'm not going to like, you know, join the crowd of like, you know, vote whoever, no matter vote which
blue, no matter who,
party,
something like that.
No matter who.
Me either. I don't think anybody here is straight party line. Like I've participated in the Republican primaries. I was Ron Paul 2008. You know, I voted Green Party, Libertarian.
2008. Whoa.
2008. Yeah, so so I'm all over the political spectrum. So we're all on the same page.
I really respect people who've come from one place and gone to another because they thought about themselves. You know,
yeah, exactly. right now though, like I said back then when he was campaigning, he was a very different person when he was campaigning than now in office. But right now, I am
no. He is the exact same person. I'm just gonna fight you.
I want to offer my take on this. I think you know, he's a shitty guy, but what happened is he got in and doesn't know anything about governance. He knows how to get elected. He knows how to do television, and television gets you elected in this bizarre country in this bizarre time.
Exactly.
So the people that make up the establishment go, "Oh, here you go, Mr. President. We have your staff all set up for you. We're going to make it very easy. It's going to be a very easy transition." And what happens is his staff become his handlers. He's a puppet. He's a puppet president. If he doesn't get to do his stuff, his agenda becomes and is co-opted by the Republican agenda because the Republican machine is more powerful than this simple man.
But right now, you know,
both sides.
Everybody evolves, right? So right now, I'm just exhausted. That's it. Like I'm done with the negativity on both sides. I don't want to hear about. I don't want to hear about the negativity that like Republicans are all a bunch of like lunatic or like gun nuts and stuff. And I don't want to hear about these SJW Democrats and like they want this. It's like on both of the negative stuff. It's like I'm done. It's like I just want to see the results. I just want the problems to be solved. I'm done with pointing fingers at both sides. I just want to see something get done. That's
exactly. A bit of a question. How likely does everyone think it is that once this is all said and done, if Trump is out of office, the Republicans immediately pivot from their platform literally being, we're just here to support Trump, to, and this was the man that we should have been blaming the entire time. We all regret terribly letting him have any control of our country, and we hate ourselves for it. This is not the party that we want to have represented. How quick do you think that change happens?
them. Yeah, like if they're opportunists and if they just want like money and power, like the day after the election results come in, that's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
It'll depend on whether they retain control of either the houses. Well, I mean, of the Senate right now.
Yeah.
But
I mean, also conservatives are a lot more just loyal as a bunch. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens in that situation. But I do
true right now. I think I'm not sure that's true right now. I think a lot of them have actually moved into the Democratic Party, especially at the higher end of things, because they consider Trump antithetical to their kind of traditional tripod conservative alliance. I don't know if Trump goes down, they may try to move back in and reassert dominance of the party, but
they're already in there, though. They already have their own dominance, I think, still. I don't think they've ever lost actual dominance. I don't think that Trump has as much power as people think he does. I think that he's allowed to do some certain things, but I think that overall the RNC, the GOP does control the vast majority of things. And the same with Obama. I believe that Obama did want to do more radical things, such as shutting down Guantanamo Bay, which he promised in both election cycles, and never happened. But then the reality, when people start telling him, hey, guess what?
Heidi, you're 100% right. I agree with you completely.
We have the neocons already at the DNC. We've got moderate, quote unquote, moderate Republicans at the DNC. We've got the Bush family at the DNC.
Okay, but that's from one angle of it, though. But I also have seen a huge, Dem exit, walk away movement as well on the grassroots voting side. So that's kind of an illusion, because that's like maybe on the establishment. Because you got to realize that like Trump is still kind of like a wild card. Like he's like not as controllable. He'll just spout off and say things. He's not fully controlled still. So they would rather have a Biden, honestly, a lot of them, if they're like so, establishment, keep everything status quo. Like we don't want any wild cards. We don't want to be embarrassed. Like we're all kind of on the same team. We all hang out in the same circles. We're all rich, right? We all like hang out in the same neighborhoods and party and hang out. And all our kids go to the same schools.
Yeah.
We're actually friends. And they don't like this guy coming in and embarrassing them and making them look like a bunch of fools.
Heidi.
Exactly.
And kind of exposing it, because Trump has exposed so many things and put them like right in front of our face, where we're like, holy fuck, like they're actually doing that. And like a lot of the public is now waking up to what's been going on the whole damn time, and they don't like that. So they would rather a lot of the
however they react to the holy fuck moment too. Like that really, like that says a lot. Like everybody is going to react to that holy fuck in a very different way. Like you could be like, holy, I'm going to say it one more time, and then I'm going to stop saying that, holy fuck, look at the mess that he's made. I'm never going to let him in power again. Or you could be like, holy fuck, look at how the system has failed us, and choose to vote third party. Whatever you're doing, it's a huge reaction of towards like how this has affected everybody, and we didn't realize that it could be this way.
Well, that's why like the People's Convention now, that's finally happening. Like that's wonderful. And Scott Santens actually spoke about UBI there. And actually the People's Party now, this thing, they have UBI in their platform.
They have like everything in their platform. Did you see that part? There's like 300 policies.
Right. Along with the jobs
guarantee. Give me Andrew Yang campaign vibes.
Right. But that's the thing. Like if people just say, you know what, like the only way to win an unwinnable game is to not play it. And I think that's what we're realizing with this Democrat Republican nonsense, is that we're just playing an unwinnable game. Whoever wins, we lose. That's all that happens. I remember like Alien versus Predator. It's like whoever wins, you're gonna lose. So it's.
I hope we're realizing that. Like I would hope we're realizing that. But I think the grand majority of people are fine just playing like red versus blue. Like just not thinking about it more than that. Like,
no.
We got to so they're not happy with that anymore.
Figure out a way. Choice voting to be taken seriously, because then we don't have to worry about the versus blue. There's no immediate bifurcation of all the ideas and concepts out there, so that you have to, if you believe something strongly and the other side doesn't believe it, you have to be on their side no matter what else, because that one thing is foundational to your belief system. You know, I mean, it's an extreme way to divide people by just having only two options. It's the easiest way to divide people.
Yeah, it's effective. I mean, it's like I said, it makes money, it's effective, it works. That's why they're doing it. But it's very dangerous because we're at the point where, you know, I mean, like I don't like being partisan. So if Trump does something good, like great, like we should encourage that. But we're at the point where whatever Trump does is bad. And that's not good either. We should be
about consistency rather than like, you know, oh, they're doing something you know, they're doing something right this time. I want it to be all the time, not just because it does seem a bit convenient rather than legitimate. Like, you know, like
if you had it and
it's election season. That's you know, and I'm like, I can't respect this country.
It's the right thing all the time. I don't think that's realistic, because what you think is the right thing and what you want somebody to do is not always going to be what that person can do as a leader. Well, but I think that when a leader, even if you don't like that leader, if you think they're a shitty leader, but they do something good, you can't just like ignore it or like give it no recognition or praise or encouragement, especially with somebody like Trump and a narcissist. Because if we could encourage a narcissist that like, hey, you're popular on this. If you do UBI, for example, this is a basic income podcast. If you did UBI, you'd be freaking popular as hell. Like, I wouldn't care. Like if we got Trump to get UBI done, I'm not like there's actually people I feel like that would be like, no, because it's Trump's like idea. Like, we don't want that. I'm like, I don't care. Like, people need money. Like, get the people in the money. If it's got Trump on every single check that they get, don't care. Like, I want people to get money in their hands.
Yeah, that's the idea of politics that people aren't really talking about.
Trump might support
rejecting
UBI.
a good idea just because of who is saying it.
Yeah.
Trump might support UBI on November 1st or November 3rd.
Like as a surprise,
UBI
second, right before the election. He's like, okay, like shit tons of
let's pass the checks and make it reoccurring.
For me to believe him, though, he would have to actually sign it as an executive order, like immediately. Like, I couldn't be like, he says he's gonna do it, and then trust him on that, just because of the way he has been, you know. But yeah, if I could get like that guarantee somehow, I don't care.
It's like we gotta see it in writing, you know, like we gotta see like the contract.
You gotta see it in action.
Stuff, and then when we actually see it in our accounts, then it's a done deal.
I have to ask a question though.
I mean, let me just get this one point out there, but he's probably going to do it in some bullshit way, like with this whole payroll tax cut, where it's basically taking money from or giving back our own money that we have to pay back later. So I don't feel like it's going to be implemented.
That's the fine print right there.
So my question is, we can mistrust them all we want. But if we mistrust them, what do we do about it? So, you know, we don't vote for them, and then what?
We create our own party.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, we might be at the point where creating alternative
thing, just push them out. Let them just become irrelevant. I mean, they're both dinosaurs, and the meteor is overdue by about a couple of centuries. So, yeah, it's like,
I mean, I'm not using all my time to mistrust or trust them. I'm actually trying to use my time wisely and sparingly by doing things that actually help others, like trying to get my friend's story out there as well as mine and many others, trying to like break the cycle and not be like everyone else, and like, if UBI could get passed, like, yeah, I could do more of that. That's way more. That's why I call it being productive and being about action and stuff. Even if you don't have the energy or the funds to do it, like, you could do something. Like, you could just retweet, retweet the truth. We treat humanity first and make it trending and all this other stuff. Like,
you just gave me an idea, Izzy. It's like the People's Party convention people who showed up. How can we get them to come on this podcast, and vice versa? How can we get this podcast like out to them? Like, this is a great idea. Like, we can create alliances between this kind of like-mindedness and things like that until
we get them trending.
become, right, and then we become the dominant narrative. I think that's where the real power lies, becoming the dominant narrative through these kind of like ideas and alliances with alternative ideas, and then we kind of like coalesce and we push away all the other stuff, right? Yeah,
it's fair to me. I like it.
do that.
I think you just said something that wrapped things up pretty good there, for that conversation. That was like the perfect closing for that.
Gotta clip that. Like, are you guys making Twitch clips?
I have no idea what that means. So
go into Twitch, and if you remember a poignant moment in our podcast, like a poignant minute or two, there's a whole tool that Twitch gives you to make a clip out of it, and it'll export the clip so people can watch just that bit and also watch it on YouTube. So it creates little viral content chunks. That's what we should be doing, I think. So yeah, thanks for the clippable moment, Ariel. That was very smart.
Yeah, I like that. I always get these ideas when I walk and talk. So I'm using my phone, and I just get these like sparks of creative genius here and there, and they just kind of come out.
You never out of your head either.
Don't horn too much there, buddy.
Yeah.
Right,
well, it's about creativity. So it's about creating something new. Yeah.
Shall we? What is it? It is only. It's not. Yeah, we're only at. It's 5:17, so we still have another.
It's not even 5 o'clock yet.
Yeah. No, it's 5:17.
This was the only time went slower when we were.
As you watched 17 minutes.
Yeah, I know, right?
Right.
We covered a lot of ground today. I think this is a really good episode so far.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe Faye Crew can teach us about the clipping stuff in the business part. So can you do that with the share screen?
Not live.
I just taught you about the clipping.
I say we do a Twitch clip. We can do a tutorial for our next big meeting,
sure. Yeah,
and we'll make another meeting for this month.
I'll make a little share screen tutorial. But we know we've got a little more episode to go here, so why don't we dive back into some discussion? I'd love to hear more from Heidi and Hannah while we have you. So, is there anything on your mind you would like to bring up that we could discuss?
I don't think that we have to have a 2-hour episode, but at the same time, I think that
are we done? Are we all done? We could stop.
I wanted to actually tell everybody about how wonderful it was last night to go jackboxing with Shale and Moto and what other friends did we have show up last night?
Some strangers showed up. My friend Jalen showed up. Who else showed up? Jeremy was here. That was great.
We had
there was someone. Oh, so we played a game where we played the game where you write rap songs. So they give you like an unfinished couplet and you finish it, and a robot with like a robot voice will rap it over some beats. It's pretty fun. And some random person with the username The Glitterous showed up, and they wrote just the best rhymes. It was a fun
Wait,
time.
were you doing this in person, or this is all online?
This was on our Twitch channel last night, 7 to 9. We played Jackbox games for the first time.
So it's a Twitch game?
Yeah, I was trying to invite you to it. You could come next. Okay. We're probably gonna do it again next week. It's a lot of fun. You ever played Jackbox games? They're party games you play from your phone, and you just you answer prompts like provocative questions and stuff. You know, it's a party game. It's a social game. You make stuff up like Mad Libs, but much different. Yeah, please join us.
That's pretty cool.
Saturday 7 to 9, Jackbox games on this Twitch channel. You don't have to be Yanggang, but if you are, that's extra great because you'll get all the in jokes, and we can always talk about politics. Or
playing Jackbox at Jack in the Box.
And that's not a podcast. That's just only on Twitch exclusive.
I thought the same thing.
Cool.
So that was actually really fun. When can we do it again?
Saturday 7 to 9. I'm gonna do it next week, and then maybe every week.
Okay, so if anybody is listening, please join us next weekend because I already know some people who want to come.
Awesome.
So I feel like we need more games and more fun things to do with the rest of the gang because we cannot just talk politics every single day.
Well, let's start
And we
with
have like
Jackbox.
6-year-olds that need to have fun too.
Yeah. We got this Jackbox game, 7 to 9. Might be a little bit late for 6-year-olds, but for the older crowd, the 16 and up.
My video games have politics put into them. Like I name my characters when I go on to Guild Wars, like Yanggang forever, and like just random things, so that I'm running around the world and like people are saying my username, and it's so I can't.
You still play the original Guild Wars?
I'm playing Guild Wars 2 right now. I did play the original Guild Wars. I've got the God Walking Amongst Mere Mortals title, bitches.
Wow,
even Kingdom Hearts has politics. Not just
Oh yeah, politics are part of our narratives. Everyone's very aware of very politicized politics.
There are a lot of heartlessness and darkness in our society. I need to. That's why I need to keep like wilder.
Like what about talking about like psychology? Like that's pretty smart because that goes into like influence and persuasion and this kind of stuff is like an art and like
and how narcissistic some therapists can be.
Right?
If you want to get practical, we could talk about how to convince the laser focus the people who are just ossified and don't believe in the necessity of the things we believe in. How do we just convince that last holdout constituency? Instead of talking to the politicians themselves, how do we like talk to the people the politicians rely on the votes
we can do like a life swap, you know.
We don't have access to that.
Yeah, we don't have access, but it would make for a very interesting like reality TV show if we did that. Like, like a very rural Republican Republican would go have to live in like one of these like big cities like New York City, and one of these like New York City people would have to like go live on a farm, and then we'll see like if they still believe the same ways that they believe, or some ideas have changed in their heads because of the environment has changed, and then like we could kind of like know like how they think differently now and like stuff like that. It should be fascinating. It's like social experiments are very interesting.
I wish I could go to New York or anywhere in the world.
I hear you. It would be really nice to travel.
Yeah, it would be nice.
It's not the time.
Well, I always dreamed of having a show, right, where I could travel with my 6-year-old and even my 2 older boys, okay? And we could like go places and like learn about how people do things, like in France or in Taiwan or Mexico or Kenya, okay? And we could see how other people are excelling at, they're solving their problems. I mean, not every country is going to be better at us, but every country is going to be better at us at something. There's something they know how to do that we don't know how to do, and we could learn from them.
The Danish know how to be happy. I mean, like they even created a happiness museum. So I'm like, who does that? But like that sounds pretty good.
People do that.
Well, since you bring up
great idea.
And since you're bringing up French, I do want to mention that on the streets of like whether it be France, but mostly over in Quebec, the French they don't look like welcoming or nice or whatever, but they're actually considered to be one of the happiest, healthiest people in I believe in Canada, whereas those who are all like all smiles and being positive, like they actually have shitty lives. And so it's like the French, this why I always like try to like reference them, because I feel like they're doing something right. And like if we're going to be the greatest country, we should be applying those same sort of ideas or whatever here, like rather than trying to like go into their society and stuff. So I mean, like
Francophile, huh?
Things like being nice or whatever are just like optional for them. And they use all that energy to actually do their job and do, and like help out their own and stuff. That's why and things like being nice or whatever, it's just like, okay, it's not a mandate. It's not like if you ain't nice, I ain't doing this for you or whatever.
The funny thing is, I grew up like it's fine. I grew up Persian, and the thing is like I noticed that a lot of my culture is so like family oriented, but then it got family oriented to a point where it was like too much, and it was kind of getting annoying. But then I noticed that like American culture was like kind of like zero like that. It's like once the kids grow up, it's like, okay, you're 18, you're out on your own, get out of here, like don't bother me anymore. And I'm like, you know what, maybe there's like a happy medium in between that like works. And it's like, how can I get like the best parts of like my Persian and my American and put them together in a way that's like that's like the best for me, and then maybe invite other people to like come and see that. Go ahead, Heidi. I just had that on my mind. We were discussing.
Oh yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, I think that this discussion is kind of it's interesting because I think America's kind of already like doing this. I mean, we're such a diverse country, you know, with all different cultures, and that's why it's like it's hard to point out what American culture is. A lot of times we have like what exactly is American culture, because we are so diverse, and I think we are kind of mixing and melting and putting together different things since we're all so different, which you know, that mixed with our, you know, overall culture of rugged individualism over collectivism, plus being so diverse and having all different groups that we don't necessarily understand because we don't have enough connection to them, because we're individuals, we're rugged individuals doing our own thing. We're not thinking about the collective as other groups might in their cultures. So I think those kind of combinations don't really, it doesn't really lead to a ton of happiness just in human beings, because human beings are naturally more social as far as psychology goes. We want to connect. We want to like feel connected to that person next to you, feel like you understand them. And I feel like in our country, it's very difficult. One, it's a very huge country. We're all separated. Other countries are smaller, less population, and they feel just more connected to each other. It's more homogenistic, less different.
That's probably it. Like when you have less people and like if you're in rural areas, there's a slightly better chance you'll find people who you will connect with you, or actually
neighborly.
Yeah, and they will be more interactive, and like, you know, like they'll be helpful and stuff. And looking at that's you know, that's another thing about the French. Like there's not that many of them. That's probably why they're like so like helpful and stuff with their own. And I mean we could do that in I believe we do kind of have that in rural areas and stuff, but we should make that like a normal thing or whatever. That's something we should get trained.
Heidi,
I want to jump in for a minute because I don't agree that. I think that's a very common narrative that somehow we're too big, that we have too many diverse peoples, all of this stuff. It's just not true. What's happening in our country is that we're getting more and more insular. Okay, we don't have enough money, and you need money to travel. We have people in Texas who've never been out of the state. I mean, we have, and Texas is very large. So it's not about your size. Texas is very diverse, but you have to go to Houston, you go to Dallas, you go to certain big cities, they're very diverse. But there's areas where people never go anywhere and can't get anywhere. And so there's also the fact that we don't have other countries on our continent other than Mexico, right, to our south. And we're bordered by Canada, which is very, very similar to us. It just seems like a cleaner, nicer version, almost when you go there. And
oh no, it's not. It's literally just like, cause like you go to, you know, you could go to like New Brunswick or to like British Columbia or any of those parts. It's literally the same. But if you go to Ontario or even Nova Scotia, that's where you get the diversity, and it's a slightly different sort of. Even in Quebec, it's a slightly different sort of environment compared to everywhere else. Everywhere else is even in Winnipeg, I believe it's very similar to like America. Because like when my friend tells me about these stories,
I think we're missing Faye's overall point, though. I think we're digressing here.
Well, my point is that yes, Toronto has been nominated as the most diverse city in the world by National Geographic. So, and we think that New York City is, right? But a lot of things that we believe about ourselves is not actually true. And for example, I tried to escape the United States. And then you discover how hard it is. If you try to escape the United States, you literally can go to Mexico or Canada unless you want to float away on a little tiny boat. right? And then you'd be the boat person trying to get back to Vietnam or someplace else across an ocean. Yeah, like you literally can't get off this rock without money and a good passport. All right. So we've got a situation here that is where people kind of believe that we're all this diversity and stuff. But honestly, there's vast, swaths of our country where there's not a lot of diversity because people have become so poor that we're not able to really move around.
And Heidi,
if you don't have a car in a rural area, you're pretty much isolated, alone, and know nobody.
Right. And Heidi, when you
but
talked
that's the difference between like an entire country, or I mean, our country is very unique. So we're talking about countries like France or smaller countries. Those types of countries are just set up completely differently. So even if somebody is lower income, they can get around. They have public transit. So I mean, yeah, I definitely agree that economics are obviously a factor in being able to travel and meet other cultures and do different things. But overall, I just think that
also geography.
I'm sorry.
So if you're in France, right, you're connected to the rest of the EU by trains. You can get a Europass, okay, and you can just go all over the place, and then you'll be in different cultures, different languages immediately within a very short distance of yourself. So if I were traveling the range of Texas, first of all, we don't have high-speed rail anywhere. So, even getting a bus out of here is tough. So,
we're talking about American culture versus like a French culture. Like obviously they geographically can travel to other places, but just comparing those two cultures, I just feel like that's just apples and oranges as far as like their happiness levels. It was like the one topic that we were discussing. I was saying they have a smaller area that they're working with. It's all homogenous, and so they feel a bit more of social cohesion. We're very like spread out. And the rural thing is actually a point to what I was saying. Like when you're in a rural area, you actually are very spread out, and that doesn't actually have a lot of social cohesion. Which
and the suburbs too, and the suburbs are very spread out. And Heidi, when you said rugged individualism, but I think that for a lot of the people in the upper classes, this rugged individualism is a myth because they have a network. They have someone that they can call to like grant them some money or loan them some money. Do you think Trump was living under a rugged individualism? No freaking way. Like his dad,
reality, but
his
it's
mom,
a narrative. It's a narrative.
Exactly, a narrative. So they tell us this rugged individualism stuff to make us feel guilty for wanting extra resources and for wanting to get help that we should be that's just going to cost them, but they don't want to give it. But within their own circles of influence, it's not rugged individualism.
Well, it never is.
It's a network.
Nobody's totally rugged individualism, or you're dead, right? That doesn't exist. But it's just the narrative.
To be like the jungle man.
We have our diapers changed at some point.
Right.
Let's try to respect each other and not speak over the speakers. Thank you.
Who is speaking?
Rugged individualism. It is indeed a myth. Our social animals do not survive well or long. Bottom line.
Yeah.
Right, and my point was simply that our country was founded and the Constitution was constructed under certain premises of, supremacy of landowning males, for example, and white supremacy and certain individualistic values.
Right.
So those things frame everything else. Those things frame how we make our laws, and all of these things like have a huge effect on a culture. So I was just comparing basically some of these other cultures that are able to have maybe more happy social existence, and compared to like how ours was set up, it has led us to this point of being separated from each other, becoming very tribal. The other person's bad. I don't understand the other. That person's bad if they don't look like me or believe like me. And it's just, that's not going to make you happy. So these other cultures just like have a complete different history and setup, and they're at a different point. And they have a whole different way of worldview that we do, and they're able to find a higher level of happiness through that. So it's just difficult, is my point right now in America, and historically. for us to find that. We don't have like a guarantee of happiness. We have the pursuit of happiness, which means never fully really reaching it. If you think about it, you have the right to pursue it, go and try, but it's not necessarily ingrained that we're going to get it.
Well, I have a friend over in I have a friend over in South Africa who wants to pursue that happiness, but she's trapped there with these abusive parents and abusive environment, and no one over there is really helping her and stuff. And like, it's so upsetting that we talk about these sorts of things, and we have people not just in this society, but in places that are even worse than ours.
It's I know it's that feeling of feeling trapped, and that's the way. Even though I grew up in a suburb with like a lot of money, Bel Air, California, I had that feeling of being trapped, and the feeling of being trapped is like never a good feeling. So that's the thing. It's like who can pursue happiness when you live in an asylum? You gotta at least not live in an asylum to pursue happiness. If you're trapped in an asylum and someone tells you find your happiness, environment plays a big role in the people you're surrounded by.
Yeah, like just do yoga or meditation. It's like that'll or have a plant-based diet. I heard someone on Twitter say it to me about like my chronic migraines. It's like
there's an extent to which that stuff can't help. They're just trying to offer you the best advice they have. They don't know what advice is useful to you or isn't useful to you until after they've addressed it to you. But overall, we need bigger solutions than the ones that people can provide on Twitter.
Yeah, telling someone to get a job and get counseling is definitely great advice.
Well, I mean, it depends on if they, that's rude. That, but not the thing you were talking about with saying try a plant-based diet for a migraine. That's somebody trying to genuinely give you advice that helps them with a migraine, I'm sure.
Yeah. But
some people have also been benefited by therapy or other things. It's always difficult when the advice is not solicited. You never know how it's going to be taken, unfortunately.
Yeah. It has to do with just like if a lot of times we think that people don't know what's best for themselves, and they're like hurt themselves if we just gave them something instead of constantly monitoring them. But the truth is actually the opposite, and it's time we like leaned into that more and stopped this like paternalistic kind of thing. And it's funny when you come into a conversation with like a larger frame and larger references, it's better, because I remember when like Andrew Yang was done with part of the debates, and it was like the post CNN panel, and then when he mentioned something, everybody just kind of like froze, and it's like you can see the sparks coming out of their heads because they couldn't even compute it. And I think that's where some of us are. It's like we're so far ahead of this thing into the future, and we see all this stuff, but people are only like looking past their noses.
Even though Andrew Yang was speaking plain English, like
right, but you got to give it. It just takes time for people to evolve, because I know I've been at that place where I was really stubborn, and I was kind of ignorant back in my 20s, and I said like, oh, I know so much, and like people don't, and why the hell aren't they listening to me? But I evolved out of that, and that's all it's going to take, and we just have to see when that's going to happen.
I would like you to give that same chance to some of our politicians, including Joe Biden, because even though he is older, I think that he's at a different time in his life. Possibly this may be his final legacy to the world. And if we can convince him that the best legacy he could leave is to actually listen to the people and work for us, I think that there's a chance he could do what we want him to.
No matter
what do you think of that?
That, like, even if it's Trump, we continue to try and push him to embrace the proper message. It doesn't matter who wins. In the end, we have to continue to work towards the goals that are the larger picture. Saving people from poverty is like, it's why we're here. It's why it's a UBI podcast. We all know that the solution to stopping immeasurable suffering is right in front of our noses. And no matter who's in charge, they're not going to listen unless we're pushing it in their faces.
Moto,
I agree.
can I get your
There's always
opinion
that
on,
chance.
sorry, on the viability of pushing Joe Biden to the left? Is that a viable possibility?
I mean, with what leverage?
That's the thing.
You're
I
not
would like
elected.
anyone to identify the leverage where any one of us can, or any progressive can push Joe Biden to the left. Where does the leverage exist to do that?
So that's my feeling is that
regardless of him, and he has to sign the bill. That's what I think could possibly happen. If enough progressives and enough people got behind a bill and put it in front of him, he would be hard pressed to deny his own party their signature.
I mean, it actually reminds me of like this one video I saw from Cal Kalinske where he mentioned, I believe it was about that one video where you had a lot of, like the BLM supporters who were surrounding Rand Paul, one of the politicians or whatever. But they were just arguing like, hey, say your name or whatever. But I mean, he was making the point. I mean, just imagine if they were actually yelling about, hey, where's my STEM check, or hey, where's Medicare for all, where's my why can't you like put a halt on these rent bills and other bills and stuff. And he mentioned that making politicians nervous can't actually get stuff done as well. But except you have these groups who are going the wrong way about it. They're making the wrong, they're talking about the wrong things. They should be discussing things like UBI and Humanity First and stuff, and like saying, hey, push that to the front, make these politicians sweat about that, and then those things can be enforced much quicker. I mean, like I feel like that point he tried to make it has some effect, because when protests happen in like over in Quebec, the government actually responds, pretty quickly, like an hour or a week later, when and then they pass a bill that relates to that solution they were protesting about. Whereas like we're not doing the reason why one of the reasons why our government is being lackluster when it comes to giving us financial relief and other things is because these same movements, these massive movements we've been having, they aren't really putting it to the forefront, saying like, hey, where's my STEM check? Hey, where's where's my universal health care? Where's all these other issues or whatever, like hey, are you going to reduce, or hey, legalize marijuana, or all these other things. They aren't really,
the numbers, like, they don't respond to just the pressure of individual people wanting a thing. It has to be the right people. So this is, I think, I would like to directly respond to what happens if he gets like an overwhelming number, say like, like 60% of the Democratic Party sign a petition saying we must have single payer health care, ranked choice voting, and basic income from you, Joe Biden. This is what the people who elected you demand. This is what he does. He shoves his hands in his pockets, puts on a boyish grin, and goes, folks, I did a gut check. I went with my gut. I'm doing what my feelings tell me. And what that means is no, I only do what the money men tell me, and your signature means nothing.
We need a lobbyist that's
He's
yang
gonna blame
gang.
it on the Republicans. He's gonna be like, "Oh no, the Republicans aren't gonna let that happen." So he's gonna go on the practicality route. It's like, "Oh
no, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. But I mean, like, if he's pinned, it's like you've got a majority. It's on you. You can't blame the Republicans. Then he'll take it on the chin. He'll go, folks, yuck, nothing for you.
I disagree, though. I don't think that would look good for him. I don't think it would look good for the party. And I think, honestly, like,
the party doesn't have to look good, though.
I understand that. I can see why you would believe that. Yeah. But I honestly think that it would look so bad on him that he just would not do that.
It doesn't matter how he looks to people.
This is also conjecture, so like either of us could be right.
Yeah. But in my mind, it doesn't. In my mind, if you're not the person paying Joe Biden, it doesn't matter how he looks to you.
Well, I would like to move forward from this, which is, back to my question of what do we do since we don't trust any of our politicians, right? I mean, they can promise you something right now while they're promising it. They know that once they get into office, things may change, and whether or not they fulfill those promises is There's all kinds of stuff that could happen. So there's nothing that forces a politician right now to actually do the things that they promised ahead of time. And so once you get into office, I think we need to come up with some other solutions or to be pushing for other issues, like maybe allowing more people to actually directly vote on referendums instead of having Congress pass every single law. Or, I mean, what other types of policies do we have other than just ranked choice voting, right? Because once again, you vote them into office, and then what? They can still change their mind and vote completely differently than what you thought they were going to do. So, how do we actually
the whole Constitution, really? But
so there's voting. There's voting, and we talk about voting a lot in democracy. Hold on, just one moment. We talk a lot about the voting, but another aspect of it is the bureaucracies that run everything now, right? We create a bureaucracy, and the bureaucracy basically tells you these are the forms you have to fill out, these are all the procedures you have to do. But the bureaucracies themselves are not responsive to us. They're only responsive to yet another law or yet another congressperson showing up to do something. So that's another aspect I think we need to tackle besides voting. What about making the bureaucracies actually responsive to the humans right now, that they have to serve? Go ahead. Sorry. I think Mia had a thing.
I was just going to say the democracy dollars thing basically helps even out that a lot. Although when it comes to making bureaucracies react to people, you've got a separate point that is also an action that should be taken. We definitely need to have more direct communication with people who are indirectly running our lives. And it's completely ridiculous that you can't actually get in touch with somebody who's supposedly representing you, or that they vote against your interests. That does need to be changed on top of everything else.
Like maybe we create a way, like I think one of the projects that Andrew has been talking about is the Citizens Portal, because I know there's a Slack, there's definitely a Discord server working on this, and I occasionally see what they're working on. And it's about making the government more responsive to us. So it would be great if we had other types of ways to affect the government other than waiting for voting somebody out every 4 years. I mean, technology is moving so quickly that in 4 years, everything you did 4 years ago is already defunct. I mean, why should government be so slow as to, wait for us to vote out that next person? What if we had standards, for example, all across the bureaucracies that, when somebody calls your office, you can't put them on hold for 2 hours and then call them back, I mean, couldn't there be some sort of that? I think that would eliminate a lot of the awful evil in our society, right? What if IRS actually had to allow you to record them when you call? Because literally right now, when you call IRS, they say, we will record you right now, but you may not record us. Don't put us on speakerphone or let anybody else listen into our conversation. What if your tax forms actually had to be done within 30 minutes?
Right,
or,
20 minutes.
Exactly.
Because Faye, you said accountability is a two-way street, and that's what we don't have. The citizens are always held accountable that they have to have all their files in order, their receipts, they do their taxes right, or else you really get in trouble. They'll come after you, they'll fine you. But it doesn't go the same way. If the government messes things up, they don't suffer any consequences. They don't compensate you more. You can't fine the what's its name, unemployment office for bringing you your money late. Why shouldn't the unemployment office not have to be fined for not bringing people's money in the right way, not doing that? It's like if they mess up on your like when it has to do with your stuff, we should fine our own government for that. Why should we be the only ones that get fined and get the consequences handed to us? Why aren't there consequences for the people who are in charge and they're just consequences for the citizens? That's bullshit.
I like that. I'm laughing not because I think that the idea is bad, but because I'm trying to imagine what it would take to get that to actually happen. They'd have to actually be willing to take responsibility for anything. And I have not yet seen that. It kind of reminds me, have you guys seen Futurama and Hermes, the way the bureaucracy is set up there? That kind of is how I see pretty much all of not just the government, but corporate insurance, all that. It's It's exactly like how Hermes was like jumping through hoops to do nonsense.
We treat people like swine and make them stand in line.
What about Vogons, which are like the most dreaded creatures in the entire universe in like the Hitchhiker's Guide, for example? I mean, obviously these British systems were passed down to us along with our horrible financial system. It's like the bureaucracy itself is like, oh my God, it's so maddening.
Well,
Being administrated is like. But I think there's a way to actually improve administration by a lot. And besides eliminating administrators themselves, I don't think that's necessarily the you know. But what we need maybe more social workers and less police, for example. So pencil pushers by themselves isn't bad, but then, but they don't work for us. It feels like they're just creating longer and longer forms, and
that's ridiculous.
That's a valid point, because it's like it just go back to like when you were mentioning we got like when people saying oh, we got to get Trump out of office, and then but what comes after, because it's about like what if we're still in the same rut and we're nothing's like getting better or whatever, and these communities are still becoming nearly desolate and tearing apart. And I mean,
that's not
why we're seeing riots.
Is like slightly better than Trump.
That's why we're seeing riots, Izzy.
Yeah,
I mean that's yeah.
Say you just eliminate like 1 hour for every single person across the board on your tax form, and then you eliminate 1 hour from your DMV visit, and you eliminate, like, every time you take that, just multiply that by 3 million. That's 3 million. How many people do we have in our country, right?
There you go. Right.
And hundreds of millions of people. That's a lot of time saved. So, like, even cutting down a few minutes for each person, it's giving people their time back, which is even more precious than money. I mean, it's really, you can't quantify the amount of, life you can live if you could just make government more efficient. And it would, I think we need to be looking at, things like, how do we get
shorter work weeks? Shorter.
Yeah, sure. Give back people time. Yeah.
And seriously, applying consequences to incompetent bureaucrats or people who are creating the gridlock, people who are creating like all these clogs in our system through either their incompetence or
put them behind bars.
Put them behind bars. Like do that.
The French do it. They
something more than a slap on the wrist. We got to keep these people accountable, because if we're gonna see so much, if there's no consequences for their corruption and their incompetence, that it's just gonna be a free for all, and that's what we're seeing. I mean, Mitch McConnell.
As the punishment hits the crime. When you say that, I get a little bit concerned that they're going to. Oh, pardon me. I'm going to sneeze here.
That's you.
Okay. I get a little worried that they're going to put the fine on the social worker who made the mistake and not on the bureaucracy itself, because that's what we actually do in workplaces nowadays. If somebody's work uniform gets damaged in the line of duty, oftentimes it's up to them to replace that work uniform, for example. So I do have some concerns, and we'd have to be pretty careful about that, of making sure that the right person gets the punishment for the crime.
Right person, right.
Well, we'll create like a committee or something of like unbiased people to monitor those kinds of situations, and you might say like, oh, but then like we're gonna pay for that extra, but like in the time being, it's like if it works well, we're gonna save so much on like these little hiccups and this malice. I mean, you can't tell me that McConnell has been majority leader since I've been born, and he has all these like bills on his desk that he's not touching. He's just like a one-man stop to the process of democracy. It's like, how the hell does that even happen? How
we need people with grassroots support and grassroots mindsets.
All right. So I'm thinking, what else can we do besides go after the bureaucracies and go after the voting? What other things can we do to make sure that the that the elected representatives actually do what we want them to do? Can we form like some sort of system to trickle
Like
up our opinions and
union?
our thoughts so that they're forced to hear us? Like, what if they just choose not to listen to us? Right? Oh,
That's
well, we'll
pretty
just
much
wait
what they
4 years
do.
for them to get voted out.
Mm.
But what can we do to make it so that they have to hear us? Or
Well,
can
that's
we?
all. That's
Maybe
all we
with like
do.
6-month term limits or something, like really short periods of time where they get to where we're being reelected or being put into a position comes really soon.
Or
So we just shorten.
evaluations, so that
We
way you
just
don't
shorten
necessarily have
that.
to have a whole election. That would be a good idea.
Yeah, just like mini elections for like mini positions that can turn into bigger positions, but each step of the way they're going to have to jump through our hoops and really show that it's more than just emotionally manipulating people and like bullshitting people to get to the position that they're in. They actually have to put some skin in the game, and we have to like really put them through the gauntlet instead of this crap
Right.
that we do now with the
The wrong
advertising.
people are jumping through hoops.
Yeah,
I remember I think was it yesterday or the day before when somebody brought up the idea of maybe Shale brought up the idea of having the Congress people have to go into not hiding, but
right?
maybe hiding, but like basically disguising themselves and living as normal people do. Like, you know, if they
Like if
have
they
to
go
deal
to
with
like an impoverished neighborhood or whatever.
like maybe a boot camp.
Undercover boss type, like an undercover congressman.
I want to see them go into like an
undercover
impoverished neighborhood,
congressman,
like a Section 8 area or whatever. Like that
Yeah.
could, like getting ideas to like what people here go through and stuff, and like maybe that will, you know, or even go to a place where it's just like very run down and people are just
Right.
like having no direction and stuff, and
you at least have to live the
paycheck,
life of one struggling
walk in their
person
shoes, right?
who you're
I
serving.
think,
You at least
Or we can stop electing
mandatory
we
boot
just-
camp
and
for
elect
Congress
real
people.
We can also
yeah, why
elect
don't we
real
just
people.
wait? I know we're not supposed to talk about voting, but I think the solution is kind of obvious. Like, don't vote for people that you don't trust, and vote for regular people. I
Except
mean,
that
and
we're
get them,
talking
encourage
about
them to run.
Except we're talking about some elections, not the one where you were, where we really trusted you, Heidi. But some elections we don't have an option that we trust. This is the problem.
but
Is
you can
sometimes we
encourage
have
regular
two that we
people.
don't trust.
Yeah, but you can have infrastructures created at the grassroots level that can encourage regular people to run, which are being created, such as, you know, Justice Democrats or Brand New Congress. We can create similar structures as those and really find regular people that we can trust, and, you know, get those people into the positions and stop voting for people we don't trust.
I feel like
I mean, there's no other option than whatever. But
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Just like we've got down ballot candidates at Humanity Forward who are being promoted, and people who are being recruited through Humanity Forward to run in the future. So like that is a very strong part of making a change in the future, making sure that there are candidates people actually want.
But see, we tend not to trust people who are poor. We tend not to trust people who don't look right because of poverty or some other reason. Maybe they have some mental health issue. We tend not to trust people with the problems that we're trying to solve. And so we can't get those people into office. We tend not to trust somebody who's been a felon, who's actually gone to jail, which is why we're looking at, I would love to have some kind of boot camp where you actually have to take one of, here's a list of different things you could, like Peace Corps or something, except this would be like boot camp, right? And you have to go and actually maybe be in jail for a week and see what happens, or be in one of these dispossessed, situations where people would never trust you. We would never trust somebody who has had their children taken away. Who's going to send that person up to some office, some higher office? And so that's why we're talking about maybe giving people a chance to actually live that life and see if they can actually walk a mile in somebody's shoes, Yes. Oh, that would be really interesting.
Yeah, undercover congressman or something like that. Kind of like the undercover boss. So it's like, and we get to tape
Undercover brother.
Yeah, something like that. And yeah, it's just like injecting like practicality into this whole entire process instead of this emotion driven rallies and ads and speeches, that when all that stuff is said and done, who knows what they're doing, behind the curtain, right? So that's it.
Well, friends, we have had a really wonderful couple of hours together. Do you still want to talk, or should we go ahead and say goodbye? I know some of us may have to run off to be with their kids, or
well, I got one
important.
I got one closing question. It's like it's a little bit off subject, but I actually got a call from this guy from my area, in I believe it's Chicago, and he was mentioning, I think it was like a volunteer or something, and he was mentioning that on the Illinois ballot they have like this tax called like the fair tax or something like that. It kind of sounds like the wealth tax, where they have like those who make little less than 60K or whatever, they don't get much of a tax, whereas a lot of the taxing goes to like those who make more than that, those who are like pretty wealthy and stuff. My question to you guys is, do you think that could work, or like with the value added tax, like if they put that on the ballot, would that have be much more sensible? I mean, I want to get your thoughts on that. I mean, I'm not sure if y'all heard about it, but it's over in Illinois. But I mean, just you think it's possible, like if it managed to get implemented?
Do we think what's possible? Are you saying that it would fund UBI, or what do you mean?
There wasn't any mention about it. Wasn't there wasn't a mention about UBI. I mean, it was the guy did mention that, yeah, UBI, he's definitely with me on there, but he mentioned that there was this proposal called the fair tax or something like that, that's supposed to essentially tax the rich, or those who are wealthy and stuff. And
what we're supposed to already have, but I mean,
yeah,
I'm not familiar enough with the fair tax, unfortunately, to make a full informed opinion on it. Taxes are pretty complex, but I'm not. I need to do more reading on that for sure first.
Here's a better one, okay? Because I mentioned to him about like thing about taxes is that like the those who are rich, wherever they find, like the Jeff Bezos of the world, they can find loopholes and stuff as a way to avoid paying taxes and stuff. So it's like and I mentioned like the value added tax. I'm saying like can any tax, including the VAT, are they all like do they all have like flaws and stuff,
Yes.
like ways around them, or is like one of them?
I think any tax has a huge flaw. I mean, because you're extracting, money from a person, and people don't necessarily like that. So then the people that have a lot of power will find workarounds, and there'll be some shady things that go on. So taxes are very flawed. I mean, I think what's so effective about the value-added tax that other countries have found is essentially that it's a more constant revenue source, because it's consumption based and it hits every stage of production. So you can actually have revenue coming in a lot more frequently than things like an income tax or, wealth tax or certain things. I'm sorry?
It can't be avoided, like the big corporations and those like Jeff Bezos, like they still have
You mean like death and taxes, as in unavoidable?
Yeah, unavoidable. Like they have to pay that tax no matter what.
It's more difficult to avoid. I'm sure that they will find ways to avoid it or pass it on to consumers, but it'll be much more difficult because, in industry, you have to produce and you have to pay for things during each stage of production. So they're going to need to buy things constantly, like Amazon right now, buying things constantly. And, not necessarily getting taxed on that everywhere. There's an Amazon facility in Oregon, no sales tax here. So each stage, they're not being taxed on it. And you can see why they're in Oregon, a place without a consumption tax. So having a value-added tax would, of course, extract that, and much more difficult to avoid. I believe there are still ways to avoid it or pass it on to consumers, of course, which are people's concerns about any type of consumption tax. And, you have to make sure that you don't put it on anything basic, no basic goods. And you have to be very careful about how you set it up. And I think personally, rank it up for luxury items over a certain amount, maybe over whatever, 250,000, 300,000, whatever amount we want to set. If you buy a yacht, you should pay more value-added tax. And we could extract more that in that area, I believe. I believe that getting rid of a lot of the luxury sales taxes really hurt in a lot of ways. There used to be luxury taxes in the early 90s. So I would hope that we could get that back, because that was actually a good revenue source. But obviously the rich lobbied for their own interest to get rid of their luxury tax so they could buy their fun stuff. But if we could bring that kind of structure back, I think that's a really simple way to get more revenue for whatever we need.
I think you should run for Congress.
Heidi, will you be coming back Heidi, will you be coming back more often to talk with us? Because I'd love to talk to you specifically about, whether taxes are really a source of revenue. Because I actually think of it as something completely different. Since I don't, we have such a huge deficit. If it was really the source of revenue, I mean, I almost feel like they could just go to a complete system of just rewarding people with money and never actually taking money at this point, with the amount of money that we're racking, debt we're racking up.
Yeah, I mean, the concept of if money is even real or not. We could go
getting
deep
into
dive
that
another time for sure.
I think what we really got to do is find ways to wash out the corruption. Going to Heidi's point about there's always going to be some shady stuff going on behind the scenes when it comes to not paying these taxes and stuff, and it's due to the lobbyists and the people running in charge or whatever, those rich families and stuff. So it's we got to find a way to get rid of that sort of corruption and make sure that these things actually work and actually benefit and don't become detrimental to the people, but actually beneficial, and actually bring better infrastructure to our societies and lead us to a better future, possibly the American dream.
So I don't know if you're able to access the live stream chat, but if you can on your laptop, I'm going to show you a way to put your credit in, and that way everybody will have a chance to see how to reach you or to follow you, maybe on Twitter or something like that. Okay, and I'm going to do an example, and you guys can go ahead and type in yours too, and that way we can close out together. There you go. Can you see? You put the exclamation mark?
Thank you, Faye.
Yeah, let's put the credit in, and that way we can all have that recorded into our special text that we're going to export later. And it'll go on to
wait a minute, I don't see it. Where did you
go to live stream chat? Can you see that channel? Live streamed chat. All right, and then you just
over there. Okay.
Put exclamation mark. Okay, credit. And then you go ahead and put your name and your information there.
Like our Twitter name and all that?
Yes. Perfect. You can do Twitter, you could do Facebook, you could do Instagram. I don't know. Whatever's your favorite. You have a website of yours or something special you want to tag, just put it in there. And that way it will automatically help us to do keywords and everything. And thank you so much for coming.
Wait a minute.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really good conversation. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good to see you again, Heidi.
Yeah, you too, Hannah. It's been a while.
Okay, I'm
so happy we got
Thanks, everybody. This was really fun. Yeah, I can't wait to come back.
You are always welcome back here anytime you have time.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to come back. I do want to show up more. It's always fun.
All right, let's call it there. It's quite a bit after 6. Just say goodbye. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Have a good
Bye,
night.
everyone.
Enjoy the holiday.
Adios.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.